To be awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award at this college, you have to have a nomination. And the recipient tonight had 4 nominations from a very prestigious alumni, so what could we do? We had 4 alumni nominations, and the criteria for selection was distinguished career, distinguished service to the community, distinguished service to family, and service to this college. And the recipient tonight, Chuck Winder, met all of those criteria. Chuck, if any of you have seen and followed real estate developments in Boise over the last 50 years, Chuck has probably been involved in 90% of them. Some of those developments include the Park Center development, which is a 125-acre development that included the headquarters buildings for Albertson Inc. and also for Orida. Thanks. And also, he has been involved in the development of the U.S. Bank Plaza, as well as 2 or 3 developments along the Boise Greenbelt, along with his wife, Diane. So he's been very busy in his work, either as an employee or with his own company, the Winder Development Company. Since he sold the company, he spent 13 years on the Ada County Highway Commission, and he just finished his 15th year in the Idaho State Legislature. And he was elected in the legislature by the Republican senators as President Pro Tem of the Idaho State Senate, which makes him the executive officer, in effect, for the Senate for the state of Idaho. As part of his Senate duties, he's been involved with the Northwest Compact, which is a compact of 5 Northwestern states and 5 Southwestern Canadian provinces. And that compact does economic development between the 10 parties in the group. Diane and Chuck have raised a great family. They have 2 children, a son, Dave, a daughter, Elizabeth, Buffy. And Chuck has coached not only youth baseball, but youth basketball and youth soccer. So I admire him a lot for being able to do those. I think I probably have stepped up and done t-ball, but nothing like youth baseball. All of those children, both of those children have grown up to have very successful careers, and Chuck and Diane should be very proud of that accomplishment. It's not a criteria for this award, but Chuck has also been very spiritually involved in his community. He's been 22 years as president of the Idaho Boise Men's Bible Study Group. He has also been involved in his local church, Presbyterian Church, and the Boise Presbytery. And for 30 years, Chuck and Diane have sponsored and organized the Idaho State Prayer Breakfast. So he's been very active spiritually during the time of helping his family and working in his career. During the period that Chuck was a student here at the college, he was student body president. Since that time, he's been president of the National Alumni Board. He's been 12 years on the Board of Trustees, and he's also spiritually and economically supported this college for the last 50 years. Elizabeth, his daughter, Buffy, graduated here in 1993. And his son Dave graduated here in 1995. And so, for me, that's an alumni's dream. Both of my kids graduated from this college, and that was something that my wife and I hoped for, during the time we were students here. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to present the Distinguished Alumni Award tonight to Chuck Winder.
And there really should be 2 awards. Diane and I met when we were in high school. We went to Ontario and Vail High, and kids are still mad at me in Ontario for marrying Diane, and some of my friends are in Vail are still mad at me for being a traitor and marrying a girl from Ontario. But 55 years, I would just say she's a very patient woman and has encouraged me in so many ways. My 2 kids, Buffy, who's here tonight, And our son David, as we would go back and forth between Vail and Ontario and Boise, they would always tease us. And they'd say things like, "Oh, you went to college in Caldwell and Clodwell, Idaho." And then they end up both going to school here and just loving it. They got great educations. As I look around the room, there's some friends I've known a long time. Bill Clark back in the back, high school together years ago. Laverne from here and continuing relationship after that. Lauren, I take great pleasure in, even she would hopefully tell you this, that I was the main reason she came here. I recruited her very hard to come and participate in the great education at the College of Idaho. My son-in-law, Brian's here with us tonight, and really thankful for him in our lives. As I look around the table over there, I also see my former roommate, Ron Bittner. And when Ron received the Alumni Award a few years ago, as he was introducing me, he tried to embarrass me, but having been a roommate with him, nothing embarrasses me, but he introduced me as the guy he slept with in college. So he still has a strange sense of humor. Dr. Atterbury, it's great to see you here. You were one of the professors that were here when I was here, and Diane had the privilege of studying under you, and what a great education she got through this program. She went on to get her French and English degree at the University of West Florida. When I asked her dad if we could get married, he said, "As long as you promise me she'll finish her degree." And we did that. She finished it at West Florida and went on to be a successful teacher in the Boise school system. But sometimes if you get a chance to talk to her about her experience in Florida during desegregation. Being two small town kids, going into that environment and seeing how that changed the South and all the things that we're going through. I'm really proud of her and the service she gave at that time. And the kids of colored skin, kids of white skin, loved her. She was a great teacher. She cared about every one of them, and I think she set a great example for that transition that occurred in the South. So I think about some of the people that were influential in my life here. I can't help but think about George Wolfe, Ray Jolly, Margaret Sinclair. How many of you had Margaret Sinclair for English? Quite a few of you did. Let me share one story. My freshman year, it's about 3 weeks left in the school year. Our papers are due on Monday. So Mark Iseri and I were headed back to Ontario, and we got out to the Middleton interchange, and a lady pulled on the interstate the wrong direction. And we rolled the car, and all that happened was, to me at least, was I broke my hand. And at that time, we had to type our papers, but I had my paper completely written out and planned on finishing up typing it over the weekend. Probably should have done it a little sooner, probably, but it was due a week later. So I got back to school on Monday, and I had my hand in a cast, and I went up to Miss Sinclair and I said, "Miss Sinclair, I'm going to have trouble getting my paper typed because I was in a car wreck and broke my hand." And she looked at me and said, "Mr. Winder, if you don't have that paper here by class time next Monday, I'm going to give you an F on the paper, and that'll hurt your grade in this class." So everybody's trying to get papers done, and I tried to find somebody that would help me type it. I finally got a call on Saturday night of the last weekend from a young woman in Finney who was typing papers, and she said, "I finished papers. I have time. If you'll bring me your paper over, I'll get it typed for you." So I turned it in. I think she gave me a B+ on it, which was really astonishing to me at the time, but I accepted that. Went home over the summer, came back the first day of class in the fall, And I'm walking across in front of Sterry, and I hear this voice, "Mr. Winder, Mr. Winder." And I turned around and I saw, and it was Margaret Sinclair. She was about probably 100 yards behind me and hollering at me. And I thought, I wonder what she wants to talk to me about. So anyway, I walked back and talked to her, and she said, "I need to apologize to you." She said, "The last day of school, I walked home, tripped on the front step, and broke my hip. And I was basically recovering from that all summer." She said, "I'd never had a broken bone in my life." She said, "I had no idea what it was, and I just want to apologize to you." I tell you that story because that's how the professors cared about us. They really wanted us to do well when we were here, and they worked us hard, and we got a great education, met some great friends, and still have a lot of great friends, and been associated with the college. There's one person that I would be neglectful if I didn't mention, and that was my brother Dick. Dick worked at the college here for about 20 years. He was director of admissions and financial aids, and so many of the kids that were in my class in that time period would come up to me and say, "The reason I'm here is because of your brother." And they recruited kids, from California and all over. But he loved the college. He passed away in March of this year, but he loved the college, and if anybody ought to be up here getting the award, it ought to be my older brother, Dick. And he enjoyed working with all of you when he was here, and you were here as professors. And what a great guy, what a great mentor to me he was. And Dr. Schatz, great to see you here too. I apologize for not acknowledging that. I just recognized you as I was looking around the room. So thank you all for coming. Thanks to the Alumni Association. I assume there was only one candidate this year, and that's the reason I got elected. So it's always better to run unopposed. Thank you very much.